if you really want to sit down and talk about goals, I think that you could have a really big, successful team. When I say big, I mean volume. It doesn't necessarily mean quantity of people, but just volume that you produce. And if you want to have that conversation, like that's when you get into the stuff of like the different types of lead gen, ISAs or not, what type of ISAs. That's the stuff I like talking about, right? I have 6 team leaders right now talking to me as I'm helping them build out their systems and processes. And they're doing all different stages of volume. One is just starting his team. One is trying to go from 14 million husband and wife team to 25 million. A top producing agent. In fact, he's number 2 for his entire state at EXP. Asked me some of the hardest questions about Epique Realty today that most aren't even brave enough to ask, and even fewer are brave enough to answer. It was intense. Let me show you what went down. So let's talk about stocks. Epique stock, which is a private company, versus EXP stock, which is a public company. So I thought we could get on real quick and talk about some of the things you had. So it comes from because you're a top producing team leader and solo agent as well at EXP, vice versa over at Epique. I thought this would be a cool way for us to talk about stocks.
I love it. Let's talk.
Throw some questions at me, and then I'll start to kind of break them down.
All right. So Robert, thanks for getting me on the channel today. I'm at a EXP right now, obviously. You guys recruited me into EXP, and when you left and went to Epique, I was like, now I have something else to think about. I'm fully branded. Like, I have everything. There's nothing wrong with EXP. Literally nothing wrong with it. I like where I'm at. I'm super comfortable. Yep. I'm not super with change. But one of the biggest things for me is money, right? I already capped, and I already told you, if I come, it's not going to be until November when my cap resets, and then we're going to have a different conversation. Here's the one thing. Like, will I make Icon? I have a shot at making Icon, but yes, it's tough, right? Like, I got to, what is it? I think it's 50 million or a shit ton of transactions. I'm probably closer to the millions. What I think it's actually 25 million, but whatever that number is, that's the way I would hit it. It won't be by transaction because, I just don't do.
Transactions averages around 40 to 50 transactions.
Right.
Depending on your price point.
So I won't hit it. You're probably right. Like, I am a top performer. I think right now in the state of Oregon, I'm in the top 5. In my MLS, I'm top 2%. Like, I'm doing a good job. Whether I can do it at Icon level, who knows? I could do power status. I'm already over that, right? And it's only June. So that's the thing. But here's the deal. If I do power status there and I get $15,000 or whatever my cap is back, it's $15,000 of imagination because it's not actually worth anything right now. But it could be. It could be worth it could be worth Amazon, right? Like, it could be worth, it could be huge. Like, retirement, like, if I was a Microsoft investor when I was 5, we wouldn't be talking right now. I'd be driving my Lambo someplace and, you'd be trying to recruit people to come to Epique. That's my question, and I think it's a fair question because, like, a lot of people don't understand what a IPO is. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. But I bet a vast majority of people are like, "Hey, stock. Stock is not stock. EXP actually has a value right now. I can go to the bank right now, cash in my $11,000 worth of EXP stock. I'd get taxed on it, but I'd still have $11,000. If I cap at Epique, I can't cash anything in. I'd be like, "Hey, would you cash this in?" They're like, "Nope." Because it's not worth anything yet. Yeah. So talk to me about that.
Yeah, so a lot of good points there. So the important thing to distinguish real quick for everybody listening, IPO versus a private equity company, right? So private just means that it's not publicly traded, so you can't go and buy and sell shares publicly, okay, on some sort of like Wall Street and NASDAQ and things like that. While EXP is a publicly traded company. So what you see is what you get. If the stock's at $10, you can go buy it for $10, and then when you go to sell it, you can sell it at whatever price it's at. Very simple, very easy. Again, like Joshua, you were saying, like, if you're earning stock at Epique, it's awesome, but you can't do anything with it until they become a publicly traded company. They have to become listed. So that's a big point that I try to emphasize to people is this is potential versus tangible, right? You have the potential to make an absurd amount of money because you're early at Epique. Everybody in hindsight would be like, of course I would have invested in Amazon. I'm a genius and I'm so smart. But they're only saying that in hindsight.
Right.
The vast majority of people always miss the market. Nobody times it right, because the people who do, you don't know them. You just hear about them in motivational posters like Warren Buffett, because they don't time the market. They just take the calculated risk and they say, I did my due diligence. It makes sense. I'm going in. And it pays off. And they still fail. Warren Buffett still loses money too. He doesn't only make money. He just makes more money than he loses. So that's where we have the opportunity and the tangibility is EXP. Again, you can go look them up right now. What's their stock at? Great. You can buy it. You can sell it. If you earn it through their agent programs, it has a vesting period of 3 years. But they release those over time. And then if you buy it yourself, it's like buying stocks anywhere else. You can just sell it immediately. While at Epique, you're going to have to wait until they IPO in 2026 or through full vesting period. It all just depends on, again, did you purchase the shares or did you earn the shares? But the potential is this. Epique's sitting at 53 cents a share right now. They do have quarterly audits from a third party for their share price. So it's not the CEO sitting there saying, I think we're worth this much money now, like a for sale by owner. And you go, where's the comps? And they go, in my head. And you're like, that's not going to work in the market. So it's very positive they do this quarterly. And then they keep that quarterly audit share price. You can look at your dashboard every single day and check it. I love the transparency in that. A lot of companies don't do that pre-IPO. So that's a big deal. The second part of it is that we have to assume certain things compared to other companies, just like Warren Buffett makes his decisions based off of historical data. Okay, so what have companies like Epique done in the past, and what do they typically look like? So when we look at EXP and where they were at 2,000 to 3,000 agents, which is when they IPO'd right around $1. That's phenomenal. It actually is, just to make everybody clear. EXP was changing the game. They did a lot of things that were unconventional. They were breaking tradition in the real estate world. And so there was a lot of speculation. Shout out to Glenn Sanford. I know you probably won't ever listen to this, but you did something amazing. And so if you're sitting at 53 cents a share and you're earning all this, you have a chance to double your ROI immediately when the IPO happens. And we have no reason to believe, looking at Real as well as publicly traded, we have no reason to believe, based off of these companies, that Epique won't at least hit between $5 and $10 in value based off of historical data. But here's a couple other important things to consider, right? Because you go, well, again, that's assumption. Okay, they're debt-free. Real's not. And if Real can still achieve the price they're at without being debt-free, a company that is debt-free is extremely more favored on the market than ones that are. If you took two companies, same size, right? Let's say it's roughly same metrics, same production, and you said one's debt-free and one's not, the debt-free one pretty much will always be out. Real has an absurd amount of debt. An absurd amount. That's not to say they're wrong or anything like that. Most companies do. Epique has been profitable since agent 50, and now they're at about 3,000 agents. Okay, that's pretty phenomenal. So there's no reason to believe that they won't IPO, and they won't IPO at least $1 to $5, potentially even higher. And they're debt-free, which is something that allows them to scale and grow, which puts their company stock in a less vulnerable place than a company that is burdened by debt. Debt kills more companies than it helps. So I don't know if that made sense. Does that kind of make sense?
It 100%, man. I'm super familiar. I've already, like you said, right? Like I don't do anything unless I research it. I've already thought about it. I've done my due diligence. I understand the risk. When you said your video, like you were very fair, right? The only part that I disagree with, I was like, hey, if you're gonna be 100% transparent, let's say it. Because if I take, how much of my paycheck can I give to buy Epique stock with 10%, right? Or what?
10% at a 20% discount.
All right. So so say I earn my cap back and I give my 10% off, right? I am truly investing in a thought, right? If this works, it's great, right? If I buy a
Right.
55 cents and it goes to $10, I'm a multi-zillionaire, and peace out, guys. I'm gonna go tour the country, and you'll see me when I drive by in my Ferrari. If it doesn't work, I've invested in something that's now worth $0. So I just
Right.
think it's a fair point to let everybody know that you're talking to, that like, hey, this is a risk, and we all take risks in our life, right? Like, you want to eat that cheesecake, you're risking a heart attack. Like that's the risk that we all take, right? Every day we take risks and do things. I'm
Absolutely.
just of the mind of, if I'm going to take a risk, I'm going to know everything about it. I mean, Warren Buffett says one thing: invest in what you know, right? Dave Ramsey
Right.
actually says the same thing, right?
Yeah,
You don't know,
and I would agree. Yeah.
if you don't know mutual funds, don't invest in them. Invest in what you do know. I mean,
Same.
there's multimillionaire farmers out there that don't even know what the stock market is, but they invested in what they know. I know real estate.
Right.
I've done pretty good at it. I've read books, like I've got the Tony Robbins stuff. I've done research. I've read Warren Buffett's
Yep.
work. I understand where it is. It is a calculated risk if you're going to do this.
Absolutely. Well, and it's a calculated risk, even if they are publicly
Yeah.
traded, because the reality is that there's a lot of agents who bought hype. And I want to be very clear. EXP is a great company.
100%.
And I don't say that about every company. I have some serious bone to pick with certain companies, but EXP is not one of them. EXP is a great company. I think they're very transparent. I think Glenn Sanford is one of the best things that has ever happened to the real estate industry. So I want to make that clear to everybody listening, right? But it's important to understand that just because a company is publicly traded, that same risk is still there. You're still investing in potential. The
You are.
difference is you can cut your losses quicker.
If you wanted to. Yep. Because right now, I mean, like,
Because here's the thing. Okay, so let's
I'm about
compare.
$4,000 in the hole with the EXP stock right now, from what I put in
Right.
to what
And
it's
that's
actually
what I was
worth.
going to say,
Yeah.
is that on the one hand, let's say that you don't go and buy any stock from Epique. You're not going to get the free stock very likely from EXP's icon status. You probably, even though you are one of the top producers, you still probably will not hit icon status. And even if you did, you will have to spend the equivalent of $5,000 to $6,000 to be able to get the stock, because
Which,
you
let's
have
be
to.
honest, I'm not traveling to whatever.
That's what I'm saying, right? So that's the other thing,
Do that.
right? And so really, what happens is that you're really not getting the stock. You're paying for it.
Mhm.
You are buying the stock at a premium, and then you're hoping that you're going to get an ROI. Now, you can cut your losses sooner, but you're already starting from a position of loss.
Yeah. Oh,
Versus if you turn around and you go, okay, Epique stocks, really cool, blah, blah, blah. Well, here's the difference. You already have a lower cap. Your cap gets lower every year for 5 years. Those put you in a better position to where even if the stock didn't do well, you would probably still make more money being in a financial structure that favors the growth of your business and has less of an expense and cost liability on your business every year, right? That is where, for those who are worried and they're making calculated risk, you have kind of this built-in security blanket, if you will, that says, listen, we're not telling you to bank on our stock. We're just saying it's a good opportunity. But if you compare Icon to Power Award and EXP stock and Epique stock, purely from an agent equity standpoint, meaning you're investing through your commission checks or you're earning it through the different programs they have to earn company stock, Epique beats them out every time because the overall financial structure still saves you and makes you more money than even if EXP stock was worth twice as much than it is now.
Yeah.
And that's the crazy part. That's where even for me, I was like, I think
there's
I
a hell of
told
a
you
lot
in
of
the
benefits,
private.
right? I'm paying for pictures in the sign today. That's $700, right?
Well, I mean, even just the cap, if you're particularly EXP. Okay, so EXP 16K cap, Epique 15K cap, but you just said you're going to be in real estate for how much longer?
12 more years, my goal.
12 more years. Okay, you only need 5 more years to now save an extra $6,000 every year just from your cap alone,
Right.
not including hitting Power Word status and not having to do any coaching, any training, any traveling, any other investments to get those shares. And if we use historical data of similar companies that aren't even as favorable because they have debt, they don't have the growth trajectory, things like that, right? You're in a much better position no matter what. Like the math, even if the company never IPO'd, like LPT. I have no idea what they're doing over there, dude. Like Real and EXP both IPO'd between 2 and like 3,000 agents. LPT is at over 10,000 agents now. They boast about their amazing number in finances all the time, and yet they still can't tell you when they're going to IPO. That is where you start to go, okay, red flag. And I'm sorry for anybody listening to LPT. I'm not trying to insult you. I'm saying we're trying to have an objective conversation here about these stock incentives that these companies are throwing out there. Like, that makes me nervous because now I'm like, how can you boast one day, right? It's like when we see these top agents, but then they're like, yeah, but I also have my side job because because I can't pay my bills, right? And that's what makes me nervous. I don't care. Like, I know you have your other job because you keep benefits and there's other things. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about agents who are like, I'm top multi-million-dollar producer, and then they sold 2 homes in the last 12 months and they have their full-time job because they can't afford to pay their bills. Yeah. That's where I get nervous. So when I hear a company like LPT go, we're this amazing company, I'm like, but you still won't let agents sell their stock. What's going on, man? That makes me nervous, right? So I think those are some big differences, right?
Well, so, I appreciate it, Raymond or Robert, and like I'm all about like, and we've known each other 2 years now.
I think so, yeah.
Like I am never ever. You can mark this around. I will never ever let you get away with something I don't think's right. Right? Like, and if we're going to talk about it, let's talk about it. Like, this ain't, and to be everybody out there watching, I am fully considering going to Epique. Like I told Robert that in November, him and I will have a different conversation about where I'm at, what I want to do. I'm fully branded. I have a ton of stuff set up with the EXP. Like I get calls from my broker saying, how you doing? Like I actually do talk to EXP and I have no issues with them whatsoever. I do like making more money though. And business for me is like, I don't want to spend time away from my wife and kids to do anything other than like earn money so I can spend time with them, right? So that's why Epique becomes powerful to me, as well as the recruiting aspect, as well as like, I came to EXP because Robert and the team, there was no other reason. Actually, Walter Key is the one that I connected with, and never once in the year before I came to EXP did Walter ask me to come to EXP. Never one time. He just offered me help. And I'm not a veteran, not a new agent. I've been in this for a long time. Since 2003, I took a little hiatus because I had some family issues, but I've always been in it. And so that's 20 some years. This year, I think I just cracked 12 million last month in overall production. Mostly that's done solo agent. I do have a team member that we're working on growing, but like I do know what I'm doing. And the benefit to me would really be the aspect of what you can get out of it. And that's with everybody though. Like if you go to a company and they offer you training, you better damn well use it, right? And the other thing is like, I am never going to pay a franchise fee. All you people at Big Blue, Sotheby's, all those places, God love you. Why in the hell you pay 6% off the top to have a name above your that simply doesn't make any sense? Will never make sense to me, but keep bringing buyers to my listings. I love that. So that's it, Robert. I very much appreciate you being upfront and honest. And
you know how I am, man. Like I don't have to recruit. I just say what the offer is. I say what we do. We lead with value, and the right people come over, and then other people, I hope I brought them value. I hope I help them to maybe they just go hold their own broker more accountable. Good. We need healthy competition.
EXP we need better agents in the market, and we can bring stuff out that brings better people to our industry. Like there's so many sharpsmen out there. Don't be that person. Be a good agent. Support your industry that supports you, and that's what I'm about. Like, so let's get the information out there to help people be better.
I love it, man. Well, thanks for all you do. Thanks for making time. Thank you for challenging. And I love that. So I always love that about you. We always challenge each other. That's the type of environment I like to be in. So iron sharpens iron, man. So keep it up.
Later, man. Talk to you soon.
As you can see, if you've got questions about Epique Realty, especially tough ones that most of the videos or agents out there might be too afraid to take on, I've got the answers. I'm not afraid. If you want to jump on a call, we can keep it private and anonymous. Just drop a comment with answers and I'll comment back, or just reach out to me directly. Remember, Your brokerage doesn't have to be average. It could be epic.